I have a lot of seed saving to do this month. It's the end of September. It rained yesterday. Mosquitoes are going crazy right now. But I do want to make sure that I am saving my quinoas. I am going to be saving some celosia. I am not going to be saving any of the petunias because, you know, I have the seeds easily available. But I do want to show you some of the things that I have going on right now, some of the things that I am doing to prepare for next month. And this whole area right here, it's done. It's pretty much done. With extreme heat and the cool, very, very cool mornings that we have been getting here in central Indiana, these plants are definitely suffering. They're definitely done for the season. The lantana that I have there is still glorious, is still doing amazing. I am thinking about redoing this side of the garage. This is the front of the garage, what you're seeing here. And I do want to go to my local nursery and see what they have. And depending on what they have, I might just grab a few things so that I can replace a bunch of the ones that you're looking at here. And my thought is that lantana is just going to stay where it is because it's just gorgeous. The lantana is just blocking the path here too. This right here, this is a David Austin Bathsheba rose that it's my absolutely favorite. I actually purchased 3 or 4 more plants to go on the other side. You already saw how they're doing, but this guy right here, this one is thriving in this spot. It gets full sun. It has been there since last year. It gets full sun and it's just loving it here. The big problem that I have with this rose thriving, I mean, if that's even a problem, is that it's just too big for this location. In my mind, it wasn't going to go wild, driving like crazy. Being in a container, being in the zone where I am, where maybe it will die back after every winter, I didn't anticipate that it was just going to love it here. And this thing is surpassing the size of this trellis that I have here. This trellis is about, I don't know, maybe 6.5 feet tall. And this thing is definitely way up there already. And this season alone, I have pruned this thing twice. I mean, in width and height, it definitely pushed the plant to grow even bigger, I think, after those prunings. So I am going to move it, and I am going to move it here as soon as it dies. As soon as it dies back this fall, I am going to get it out of this container. I don't know how I am going to get it out of this trellis because it's kind of really, really mixed in there. I love this trellis. I love how it looks here in this little corner of my garage, but this rose is definitely overkill for this spot. And this right here is the spot where I want to plant it for next year. Like I said, I'm going to be doing that, all of the transplanting, the moving this coming winter. So at some point when she is dormant, she's just going to move here. The only thing that I am debating is whether putting her in the ground or adding some sort of big container. Right now, she is in a container, but that container is on the south side, is against the garage, and it gets some sort of protection from the winter temperatures, which, if you know anything about roses, they don't really like being in containers in a really harsh winter like the ones that we have here in central Indiana. So having it kind of like in the open in a container may do more damage. So I think that I am leaning towards the ground, and I know that the ground is really full of gravel, really, really compacted. So I might have to do some amending, adding some compost and all kinds of goodies. And hopefully this plant, this rose, loves it here. I can't even walk. It just rained yesterday, so things are pretty, pretty wet. The raised bed behind me, right here, where I have these beautiful Mexican sunflowers. This guy is leaning a little bit. I might have to help it. I planted all of this, but everything that you see behind me on this raised bed, I planted everything the first week in July, which is great because normally whenever I am planting vegetables or flowers here in central Indiana, I put everything the first, the second week in May at the latest. And if you remember, I had this bed full of garlic, and the garlic got harvested at the end of June. So I went and I purchased a bunch of plants. I had some things that I started from seed, But the thing that I want to show you today is my tomatoes. I have a total of 4 or 5 tomato plants that are helping themselves on this trellis. A couple of those are cherry tomatoes. One is my favorite, Sun Sugar cherry tomatoes. Those are by far my favorite ever. But I also have a second favorite, Black Cherry. It's not a sweet tomato, but it has a very, very nice flavor to it. It has a smoky tomato flavor to it. If you're thinking about growing a new cherry for next year, I highly recommend Black Cherry. I grew it, I put it over there at the beginning of May in one of my raised beds. It did amazing. It just kind of trailed along. I didn't have it with any support. But this one right here, it was a very small plant that I had. It was a very weak plant that I had. And I put it there. I did not think that planting them at the beginning of July was going to be helpful, because I feel like tomatoes take a long time to produce and then get the tomatoes ready to harvest. But let me show you how they have been doing for the past few weeks. Look at this dark cherry tomatoes. Look at that beauty, you guys. Two things. I love the flavor of this tomato. I think that it's just different from my Sun Sugars, which are super sweet. These guys, like I mentioned, they have a smoky tomato flavor. I just really, really like it. It's not something that I can explain, the flavor at least, but if you want to try it, you should definitely get seeds for these guys. And second, this plant right here that is growing all over this arbor was planted really, really late in July. So like I mentioned, knowing that my tomatoes planted late in the season, if I have space that frees up in my raised beds, knowing that I can just go, if I don't have any tomato plants, I can just go to my local Lowe's or Home Depot, and if they have any tomato plants, I can just grab a bunch of them and know that I will get some harvest. Oh, I should have some pruners with me, but I don't. Look at that. Look at those two beauties. These are definitely my favorites. Sun Sugar, very, very sweet cherry tomatoes, and Black Cherry. You are just not going to go wrong with growing either of these two. This is actually good for a thumbnail, if I can get it right. Okay. But wait, are you enjoying a little bit of this video? Are you learning a thing or two, or you just getting inspired? Then do me a favor, give it a like, comment, and share it with somebody else. That's not bad, huh? Not bad at all. While I am thinking about it, don't forget about ordering garlic. If you want to grow garlic to harvest next year, you gotta plant it this fall. For zones 5, 6, and 7, I am not really sure for zones 8 or zones 4. If you live in either 4 or 8, let me know when you plant your garlic, if you can even plant garlic where you live, and when you harvest the following year, because I really don't know about those zones. But for sure, my zones, in zones 5 and 7, you plant your garlic around Halloween time. Give it or take 2 weeks, but definitely Halloween time is when you plant your garlic. And right now, if you haven't, it's the time for you to order it. Just this morning, I went and I started looking at some of the things that I could find available, and I went 100% with TomatoBob.com. No, they're not paying me to say this or anything. I just found Tomato Bob a couple of years ago, and I just love his seeds and what he sells and the quality of it. So I ordered 2 varieties. I'm going to put the information here on the screen so you can see what I ordered. I am going to handle garlic, as far as where I put it this year, differently than last year. Last year, I gave all of my garlic one single bed, the bed where I just, did this harvest. But this coming year, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I am going to show you how I do that. So if you haven't ordered your garlic, this is your sign to do it right now. Look at that insane Mexican sunflower. I already pruned it a couple of times because it was definitely taking over that path. This right here is one of the heads that I'm going to take to save seeds from these guys. If you're not sure about how the seeds are supposed to look like, you wait until the flower of that Mexican sunflower is completely dry. And this is how the seeds look like. Right here, these two seeds, if they both germinate, I will have two gigantic of a monster plant for next year. Look at that. The flowers that I have here, the dahlias specifically, are doing amazing. The temperatures that we're getting, upper 70s, low 80s, are definitely the right temperatures for growing dahlias. Look at that beauty. So the main thing right now is just waiting for the first frost to kill these plants, wait a couple of weeks, and then just dig the tubers. I am going to try once again to save the tubers, because that's what you do when you have very expensive flowers, and you can try to save the tubers. But if not, then there is always a place or two where you can grab your tubers if they don't work out. Lots of beauty still in the garden, lots of seeds that are ready for me to harvest, and lots of cleanup for sure. This place is madness. I mean, everything is overgrown, things are still producing, which is amazing. I'm going to continue working out here, and this is it for this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next time.